What is the purpose of 4th of July celebrations? Which country was that? What's the purpose of 4th of July weekend? What year was the Declaration of Independence signed? Who's your favorite founding father? Favorite founding father. 4th of July weekend, we are celebrating our independence from China.
Fireworks.
History was not my subject. I slept through that class.
I really don't know. That, my friend, has been a long time for me.
Oh no, who are my choices?
Hey, I don't know what my options is. I say Jeremiah.
I think most people forgot what it's really about.
Like many Americans, you probably know that the 4th of July has something to do with the Declaration of Independence. Or at least, something to do with America. And we'll just take it off the bat that it's been a number of years since your last history class. So stick around, watch this video, like and subscribe, and save yourself the embarrassment this 4th of July. Did you know John Adams believed that the 2nd of July was the correct date on which to celebrate the birth of American independence, and would reportedly turn down invitations to appear at 4th of July events in protest? So what was it? July the 4th or July the 2nd? How about we rewind a little bit and start at the beginning, all the way in China in 1492, when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Wait, no, China? Goodness gracious, it was Spain. So, we all probably know the story. Columbus set sail on the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Nina, discovered America, thought the Native Americans were Indians, saw that he could easily take advantage of those people, and returned to Spain. In the following years, he and the Europeans returned to colonize the land they called the New World, and committed atrocities unimaginable.
You're gonna be rude, go back to your country. Go back to your country, because he wasn't from here.
Something the natives should have said? Fast forward to Colonial America, 1607. And if you've seen Pocahontas, you know about the Jamestown colony. But it's probably in your best interest not to take a history class from a Disney movie. Jamestown Colony, Virginia was the first permanent English settlement in North America, which gave England its first foothold in the European competition for the New World, which had been dominated by the Spanish since the voyages of Christopher Columbus in the late 15th century. 1620, the Pilgrims and the Mayflower. In 1607, Walter Raleigh had founded the colony of Virginia in Colonial America, and a number of English companies had begun trading tobacco and other products between the colony and England. Pilgrims from the radical, Puritan English Separatist Church agreed to look after the company's business in Virginia. Other Puritans keen to start a new life in Colonial America joined the voyage on the Mayflower. But life in the New World was difficult. The harsh winter weather meant that they were unable to build adequate shelters, and many of the travelers died during the first winter. Those that survived the winter went on to build houses and defenses. In the late spring of 1621, a Native American offered to show the settlers how to farm the land and become self-sufficient. The settlers agreed, and the Plymouth settlement flourished. 1628 to 1692, Massachusetts Bay Colony Government. The colony of Massachusetts Bay was an English settlement on the east coast of Colonial America. The government laid many of the cornerstones of what would be the official policy of the United States government towards American Indians. 1754 to 1763, the French and Indian War. The French and Indian War is also known as the 7 Years' War. This conflict formed part of a larger struggle between France and Great Britain to expand their empires. Although Great Britain won this war with massive gains inland in North America, it also cost them dearly as it led to more conflict, ultimately resulting in the American Revolution. 1765, the Stamp Act. When Patrick Henry presented a series of resolutions against the Stamp Act, the first direct tax on the American colonies in the Virginia House of Burgesses in May 1765, he aimed to defend and preserve the traditional rights of Englishmen. Henry's verbal assault on the Stamp Act was not a radical cry for equality or democracy. It was not influenced by the wave of liberal thought sweeping Europe in the 18th century. Virginians, according to the resolves, retained all the liberties, privileges, franchises, and immunities that have at any time been held, enjoyed, and possessed by the people of Great Britain, as if they had been abiding and born within the realm of England. Henry insisted that by imposing a direct tax, the Parliament violated the ancient constitution of British common law because the colonists were not and could not be represented in London. This led to the battle cry, "No taxation without representation." 1773 Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party is considered to have been an important event in American history, one that greatly contributed to the American Revolution. On December 16, 1773, demonstrators destroyed an entire East India Company tea shipment as part of a political protest to tea taxes and the Tea Act. The tea cargoes from 3 ships were all offloaded and dumped into the water of the Boston harbor, ruining the tea. 1774, the First Continental Congress. In September, Virginia and Massachusetts sent out a call for a Continental Congress to meet in Philadelphia. 12 of the 13 colonies sent representatives. The Congress endorsed the Suffolk Resolves, declared that Britain had no right to tax the colonies, and agreed to meet again in May 1775 to reassess the situation. The Congress also agreed to boycott British goods beginning in December 1774. Imports from Britain dropped to 97% from 1774 to 1775, hurting the British economy. General Gage dissolved the Massachusetts legislature. They reconvened to the west, where he had little real authority. Gage began to hear rumors that the colonists were stockpiling weapons and gunpowder at the town of Concord. He began planning a mission to seize the weapons and gunpowder. Gage also heard that 2 of the key rebel leaders, Samuel Adams and John Hancock, were staying in Lexington, which was on the road to Concord. 1775 Battles of Lexington and Concord. The battles of Lexington and Concord were of minor military significance, but of world historical importance in the modern era. They were the first military engagements of the Revolutionary War, marking the outbreak of armed conflict between Great Britain and its 13 colonies on the North American mainland. When the initial battles in the Revolutionary War broke out in April 1775, few colonists desired complete independence from Great Britain, and those who did were considered radical. By the middle of the following year, however, many more colonists had come to favor independence thanks to growing hostility against Britain and the spread of revolutionary sentiments. On June 7th, when the Continental Congress met at the Pennsylvania State House, the Virginia delegate Richard Henry Lee introduced a motion calling for the colony's independence. Amid heated debate, Congress postponed the vote on Lee's resolution, but appointed a 5-man committee including Thomas Jefferson of Virginia, John Adams of Massachusetts, Roger Sherman of Connecticut, Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, and Robert R. Livingston of New York to draft a formal statement justifying the break with Great Britain. On July 2nd, the Continental Congress voted in favor of Lee's resolution for independence in a near-unanimous vote. On that day, John Adams wrote to his wife, Abigail, that July 2nd will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the Great Anniversary Festival, and that celebration should include pomp and parade, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other. On July 4th, the Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence, which had been written largely by Jefferson. Though the vote for actual independence took place on July 2nd, from then on, the 4th became the day that was celebrated as the birth of American independence. In the pre-revolutionary years, colonists had held annual celebrations of the king's birthday, which traditionally included the ringing of bells, bonfires, processions, and speech-making. By contrast, during the summer of 1776, some colonists celebrated the birth of independence by holding mock funerals for King George III as a way of symbolizing the end of the monarchy's hold on America and the triumph of liberty. Festivities including concerts, bonfires, parades, and the firing of cannons and muskets usually accompanied the first public readings of the Declaration of Independence, beginning immediately after its adoption. Philadelphia held the first annual commemoration of independence on July 4, 1777, while Congress was still occupied with the ongoing war. George Washington issued double rations of rum to all his soldiers to mark the anniversary of independence in 1778. And in 1781, several months before the key American victory at the Battle of Yorktown, Massachusetts became the first state to make 4th of July an official state holiday. After the Revolutionary War, Americans continued to commemorate Independence Day every year in celebrations that allowed the new nation's emerging political leaders to address citizens and create a feeling of unity. By the last decade of the 18th century, the two major political parties, the Federalist Party and the Democratic Republicans, that had arisen began holding separate 4th of July celebrations in many large cities. The tradition of setting off fireworks on the 4th of July began in Philadelphia on July 4, 1777, during the first organized celebration of Independence Day. The tradition of patriotic celebration became even more widespread after the War of 1812, in which the United States again faced Great Britain. In 1870, the U.S. Congress made the 4th of July a federal holiday. In 1941, the provision was expanded to grant a paid holiday to all federal employees. But over the years, the political importance of the holiday would decline. But Independence Day remained an important national holiday and a symbol of patriotism, and perhaps for the vast majority of Americans today, only symbolic, because we're all busy with planning that barbecue and arranging those fireworks. What does the 4th of July mean to you? Comment down in the section below, and see you again in another video.